You know, that annoyingly good winning reg in your local card room who seems to run you over, who seems to be aggressive in almost every pot they play, yet when you take a stand, they just somehow have it anyway. There's no voodoo here. This player is playing a good exploitative strategy against the pool, but because their strategy is exploitative in nature, there is a counter strategy available for you, and I'm going to show you it today. Your opponent is playing rock. I'm going to show you how to play paper to turn the tide and start beating this player. Not only are you going to have a bigger win rate in the game after watching this video and implementing the 5 tips, but you're also going to feel like the top dog. You're going to sit there and secretly be exploiting the reg that used to exploit you. The victim becomes the bully. Let's do it. Here's the first thing you can do to completely turn the tide against this annoying reg opponent. Start calling down with bluff catchers in spots where your range looks weak. This player is running you over in spots where you are shrugging and looking down at second pair or a pocket pair or a weak top pair on a messy run out. This player knows that you fast play too many of your good hands, that you don't think enough about relative hand strength vis-a-vis bluff catching, and you think too much about your absolute hand strength and shrug and fold it when it's not that high. And because you're playing the 2-card game of no limit hold'em, guess what? Your relative hand strength is often far greater than your absolute hand strength. Your absolute hand strength is very often 1 pair. It's very often 3rd pair, 2nd pair, that kind of thing. But your relative hand strength could be really, really high against someone that's over bluffing in these spots where your range looks weak. I'm going to show you a hand example from a live game that illustrates this, but let me set the scene for you a little bit first. How did I get on to the premise of this video? Well, I teach a chap that plays in live private games and recently decided to make poker his full-time thing. He used to be a self-confessed recreational player. He was there to have a good time, to gamble a little bit, to have fun, but then he decided to take poker more seriously, and he realized that some of the better players in the live private games that he was playing, these are high-stakes games, but they are filled with some recreational players to make them very beatable, but they also have some tough, aggressive regs in them, and a few of these regs he found he was losing against heavily in the same sorts of ways. He was posting hands to me in our Discord chat where he'd have some kind of second pair and the aggressive players in the game would just barrel him off the hand, and he would write the hand down and say, I folded the turn, my hand's not that good, I can't call here. I can't call here. I can't call. What was I supposed to do? I only had second pair. Well, let's set the scene. So let's imagine that you're the straddle. Not the Uber straddle, but just the normal straddle. Not the 9th straddle, because everyone's stuck and trying to get even, but just the normal straddle. The aggressive regular in question raises from the low jack, and the cutoff calls, and the cutoff is a recreational player, one of the players that makes the game beatable, that kind of thing. You decide to defend in the straddle with 7-5 suited, right? A fine hand to defend with. You flick in the call, you're quite deep, you go through way to the flop with the recreational, you've got the live sort of hand you want to have against this opener. This is a plus EV call as long as you don't play horrifically after the flop. And the flop comes queen 7 deuce two-tone, and you don't have a backdoor flush draw or anything like that. By the way, two-tone means like 2 of one suit and 1 of another. There's 2 different suits. So flush draw flop, and you check in the straddle, and the pre-flop raiser goes ahead and bets 1/3 of the pot, and the recreational player folds, and you of course make the call. You're getting 4-1. You've flopped second pair, you're going to put some money in, and the turn is a 9, and you check, and your opponent breaks out a bigger bet now. Look at B75, most of the pot sizing, and you look down at your hand and you're like, oh, that's another overcard to the pair of 7s. I know this guy's aggressive, but what can I do? I can't call. I only have 3rd pair. It would be a fishy play to call a big bet with just 3rd pair. That's what the stations do when they're stuck. That's what the recreational players do. That's what that guy does after too many cosmopolitans, right? But actually you should call. That's exactly what you should do. Your 3rd pair is an indifferent bluff catcher in theory, and this is where knowing poker theory can be very helpful. That's why I built a gigantic theory course called the Carrot Poker School, spanning over 40 videos with homework, task, exams, with exam feedback videos, you name it, all the poker education in one meaty course. Because if you're armed with theory, you can just reference the spot. You can be like, what's going on here in theory. Okay, yeah. Grade 2, lecture 7. I remember this. It's about facing bets. It's about my bluff catchers. It's about the kind of hand I have, but also the range of my opponent. And you can give yourself a baseline, and then you can ask, what's this player doing that's different to what the solver was doing, that what the slide said was going on objectively in that spot? By the way, use code EMBARK25. Click the top link in the description. Save 25%, hundreds of dollars or pounds or whatever your currency is off of your poker education at Carrot Corner when you embark 25. Now, if you've looked this spot up in theory, if you've got some grounding of this kind of situation on the turn, you're going to know that these 5 out draws, right? And that's what they are. You have a pair draw. I love that term. You can hit trips, you can hit 2 pair, you can hit trips 2 outs of the time, you can hit 2 pair 3 outs of the time. And the 7 and the 5 in this spot are very live cards. Like imagine that river's a 7. Not only is your opponent going to continue value betting over pairs and ace queen and king queen and stuff like that, they're also going to bluff because it's just not that meaningful a card, especially if they expect you to fold a lot of your 7x on the turn. If the river is a 5, it's an extremely disguised 2 pair. You're basically the sniper in the bushes. They're just never going to see it coming. They're going to value bet again, they're going to bluff again, just check the river, you're going to make a bunch of money. But that's not all. Even if the river is a brick, if you call the turn and the river comes a 3 or something like that, your opponent's default line is to attack you when you are a weak straddle who's just completed into a pot and hit a bunch of pocket pair, second pair, all this sort of thing. And their game plan is successful because they attack people like you perhaps who play your absolute hand strength in spots where they know your average absolute hand strength is quite weak. So they could be taking every single combo of king jack and king 10 and ace jack and ace 10, ace 4 suited and whatever other air is in their range. They're probably opening wide on the recreational filled table, and they're going to fire the turn, and they're just going to fire the river as well because they think they can get you off a weak queen, they think they can get you off pocket 8s, they think they can get you off a 7 or a missed flush draw or whatever it is you're going call fold with or call fold with. And here's the thing, they can't anymore because I want you to start calling the aggro reg down in this spot. If this is the player that never seems to take their foot off the gas, you do not need king queen to call down here. You don't. Stop waiting around for king queen. Stop being hellmute and being like, I'm gonna get 2 pair and I'm gonna trap this kid. Like, you don't have to hellmute this shit. You can be a real poker player, no offense, Phil, and just say, I have a bluff catcher. In theory, I have this redraw. I have these odds. It's okay to call, and this player's over bluffing. I'm gonna call them down. And the amount of times they're gonna quietly just muck their cards by the river, or give up the river sometimes if they don't like the river card. But when they get a decent river, a brick, something like that, they're gonna barrel a lot, and you're gonna call again with 3rd pair because you don't care what your absolute hand strength is. You only care that you beat bluffs because you know they're bluffing too often. When you call the river bet, say that's a pot size bet, you need to win 1/3 of the time to break even on that river call. You're going to win way more than that. My student who started calling the good aggro regs down in these spots has reported winning more than half the time in these spots. That's huge. Not only are you going to just improve your win rate here, but you're no longer going to be this sitting duck, this victim just calling the first street and folding the next one against the guy that you know over bluffs. Since my student started implementing a bunch of these exploits, the 5 things we're covering in this video, he's grown in confidence and he's begun to see the aggressive regs as kind of human, mortal. A light has been shone into their souls and their strategies have been exposed to him. They used to be these opaque monsters. They just somehow seem to always win the pot against them, and now it's like, oh, I can see exactly what you're doing. I can see that it's not balanced, it has its own weaknesses, and I can see how to exploit those weaknesses. And the second way I want you to beat this aggro reg is by bluffing unexpectedly and scarily. Let's take another scenario where you're in that straddle. This time it goes open in UTG +1. I think that's a full ring position. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm a 6 max guy. And UTG +9. No, that's not enough seats for that quite, although sometimes it's like 23 handed, I think. But let's say UTG +2 calls and the small blind calls and the big blind folds and you call in the straddle. You go 4 ways to the flop and your whole cards this time are the 6-5 of clubs. Lovely hand. And the flop comes 8-4 deuce rainbow. And your scary reg aggro opponent goes ahead and bets half pot, and one of the recreational players flicks in a call quickly, fast timing, seems semi-interested also, and you decide with this hand that you're going to raise. So again, you've got 6-5, but so you got the backdoor flush draw, you've got just the the gutter, the double gutter. Just an amazing hand, basically, right? I've kind of given you like the best draw ever. What you want to do here is you want to raise. And when you raise this flop, you're telling the reg that you have a set or 8-4 suited or something like that. And when they have an overpair, they're going to go ahead and call, because no one folds an overpair to just one check raise there. That's not going to be your mission to get a fold immediately. But if they are just c-betting with king queen or queen 10 or something like that, because they will do that, they'll start applying pressure, they'll put out small c-bets with overcards, they will do that, then they will fold right away. But if they call you, they probably have some form of pair, right, most of the time. And that recreational player that called really quickly is usually just going to shrug and fold his pair of 8s or his pair of 6s or whatever it might be. And when that happens and that reg calls you and the turn comes down, let's say you hit a pair now, comes down as 6. So it's 8, 6, 4 deuce. This board is very scary. It's looking horrible for pocket jacks. Like, imagine being a reg with pocket jacks. It's just been check raised in a multi-way pot by the straddle that can have all these low pairs and even some 2-pair and some straights now. You're going to be feeling very bad about life. So when you break out the pot size bet on the turn, something like that, could be a small overbet, small underbet, doesn't really matter, just a biggish sizing. And your opponent, if he is the good, aggressive, shrewd reg, is going to fold pocket jacks. And you might not think he is, because you might be stuck in this framework of, I'm playing live, overpairs are strong hands, lots of players can't fold overpairs live. This guy can. The reason that this is a winning reg is not just that he's aggressive and he's taking good exploits and getting people off their second pair, it's also that they know when people are under bluffing and they're not calling down when their own hand is rendered a bluff catcher. So on the 8-4 deuce 6, when you raise the flop and bomb the turn, the pocket jacks or aces or kings or queens is a bad hand and your opponent knows it, and he doesn't think that you know it. He doesn't think that you understand that his pocket aces are a bad hand, and so he doesn't think that you're bluffing him. He just expects that you have maybe a straight draw that got there, maybe a set, maybe 2-pair, something like that. So when you take your pair plus double gutter, you don't even need this good a hand. I picked a really bad example. You can just have a lone gut shot and you can pull this play off on a lot of runouts that are scary. But the point is that you just raise out of nowhere and then blast the next street. You tell a very consistent story. You take a line that your player type, because I'm speaking to you, aspiring regs, like semi-recreationals, I don't know, mate, you're not the top dog in the game, right? This guy is, until now, and he does not expect it from you. Other spots you can do this, you can suddenly bust out a turn raise when you think the sizing is like a value but capped ish sizing with some bluffs in it, like villain bets half pot on the turn. They're just thin value betting and bluffing a bunch. You just raise and say that you have a flush, and then you bomb the river. Spots like this take your opponent by surprise. You're not going to get called down very often in these spots unless you have some horrendous live tell, like you start trembling and falling apart. You're not going to get called down by your opponent in these spots. Don't show the bluff. You might be tempted to be like, yeah, look at me, I'm so cool, you're badass, yeah bro, yeah. You might be tempted to do that. Don't do that. Don't give away your edge. Keep pillaging your opponent in these spots. They're not going to expect it. Even if you do it a few times, they're probably just going to shrug and think that you have it, because a leopard doesn't change its spots unless it's sat there on the savannah plain with a portable television watching Carrot Corner on YouTube. That's the only time it changes its spots, and then they become carrots. Point number 3, what your opponent's doing to run you over is that they're attacking you when your range looks weak. So when you check back the flop, right, let's say you open under the gun and the flop comes something gross looking for you, like the 9-6-5. You have opened under the gun, your opponent's called from the big blind, right? You're in position. The opponent checks the flop to you and you check behind, and the turn is the deuce of spades. So it's 9-6-5 all diamonds, deuce of spades. Your opponent just bleeds out for half pot. Okay, you have, I don't know, king queen with 1 diamond. You flick in a call and the river comes another deuce and your opponent bets 2/3 pot and you fold. Shrug, right? Nothing really happened. Actually, you got destroyed. You got completely exploited. The opponent had nothing. Why did this happen? Because you are not studied in theory enough, not used code in Bark yet at Carrot Corner. It's okay, we can fix that this time. You have not realized that on 9-6-5 all diamonds, it's a horrendous board for your range, and it's not just your ace king of clubs and your king queen off with a diamond that might check back there or without a diamond. It's actually over pairs, it's some 2-pair, it's even some flushes that can check back here in theory. Don't believe me, run a sim. There's very good reasons for this that I won't go into right now, but basically it comes down to the fact that the better the board is for your opponent, the worse it is for you. The less investment you're supposed to do, because it's a bad spot for your range, the more investment they're meant to do. So when when they land on that turn of the deuce of spades, they're meant to be able to probe a lot, bluff a lot, value bet thin lead, protect equity. They do a lot of betting, and your range needs to be somewhat protected to stomach that amount of betting that you're facing, and it's probably not. Let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, it's probably not protected. So what I'm asking you to do is put some really good hands into your checking ranges, your calling ranges, in spots where you're specifically against this player and where you think this player is going to attack perceived weakness. This is a great example of that, because not only is this a spot where they're going to bet on the turn really often, they're also going to follow through and bluff a myriad different rivers because they want you to just fold your 2 big cards with a diamond or whatever your capped hand is. They do not expect you to just have a flush here. So flop the nut flush, right? Let's say, just choose to flop the nut flush. Bam, ace 10 of diamonds. You've now got ace 10 of diamonds on this board. They check, you check, and you might be like, am I not missing value? And it's like, no, because if they have one pair or anything like that that's not that strong, they're never ever going to call you down on 965 all diamonds if you triple barrel. So you can just triple barrel bluff them. Like, screw it. Just bluff that board with jack 10 of hearts. It's fine. Bluff that board with king 7 suited with a gutter. It's fine. If they don't raise, you follow through. They're not going to slow play against you. They're just going to fast play their big stuff usually. Just muscle them out of the pot when you've got nothing. And when you've actually got the nut flush, this aggro reg, this astute player is going to start blasting at you. You can slow play the turn. You can just call the turn. You might be like, am I not missing value? Again, the answer is probably not that much, because if you raise, the main hands they continue with are hands they're going to bet the river with anyway, or even bet call the river with anyway. So letting them bluff a million combos at the bottom of their range is so insanely valuable. I can't stress this enough. If they're the type to attack with every combo of jack 10 offsuit, diamond or no diamond, when you check back that flop, you've got to let them do that. Otherwise, you're throwing away bets all the time, because that's what they usually have. You're playing the 2-card game. You're playing no limit hold'em. Everyone always has nothing. We know this if we're hold'em players. If you go and play Omaha, come back to hold'em, you'll realize that everybody always has jack high, and it's really silly. Point number 4, when your range looks strong and this guy attacks, you fold, right? So you open the hijack, you bet the flop, a straight completes on the turn. Let's say that you open the hijack and they call out the straddle, and the flop is jack 9-6 with 2 spades and a diamond, and you bet the flop kind of big and they call, and the turn is a 10, and you have 2 pair of some sort. You have something like jack 10, so you have top 2 pair, and you bet the turn big and they raise. Okay, kind of alarm bells now, right? They've just raised you in a spot where you have bombed a really connected turn. Give yourself kings, right? Just for clarity. Okay, jack 10 is still going to become really uncomfortable later. Let's say you've got kings. You should just fold right now. This guy's just come after you in a spot where you've bet big twice on a messy board. They know you have an overpair plus here for value and don't have that many bluffs on this board, especially low equity bluffs, right? If you're bluffing, you have like open end straight draws, flush draws, combo draws. This is how you're probably playing this spot, and this guy's still attacking you in this situation. It's so easy to get stacked by this player when they have it and you have a second best hand, because you say, oh, well, they're aggressive, I can't fold. No, you're missing the point. They're not aggressive across the board. They're aggressive when you look weak. They're not coming after you when you clearly have a big giant rocket launcher. They're coming after you when you have a little penknife, right? And so when you know your range looks like overpairs plus, you can fold the kings immediately. You can call the jack 10 with trepidation and fold to the river overbet. You can, because your jack 10 will become a bluff catcher. Your top 2 pair will become a bluff catcher against a line like raise turn 2x pot shove river. It will become a bluff catcher against that line. It's so tempting to feel like when the guy that's been picking on you all day and you've not had a hand that you could do anything with, it's so tempting to feel like this is now your time because you have kings. But it's not about whether you have kings. It's about whether your range looks weak or strong and whether they're going to attack you in that moment. And I'm breaking this guy's strategy right now. I'm telling you how to decimate this player. I'm not just telling you how to survive against them. I'm telling you their whole gambit so that you can refute it. This is some real Queen's Gambit refutation right now. Like, you are going to play the Slav and you're going to play it brilliantly. I never played the Slav. I'll stop talking chess. I don't even play chess anymore. I hate chess. Point number 5, attacking wider when this player is involved with recreational. So when a recreational player limps in and they are the king of Wales, let's say, not literally like the king of the country Wales, but like the biggest whale of all the whales in the poker game. Remember when people used to be like, don't call them whales, it's offensive and you'll hurt their feelings. It's like, yeah, I wasn't gonna say it to their face. It's just a term we've always used in poker, and I will continue to use it. God damn it, I will continue to use it. Anyway, imagine the king of Wales limps, and the aggro reg isolates the button. And you have some hand, like ace 4 suited, and you're like, okay, I want to call and be involved with the king of the whales as well. Excellent choice. I like it. You could 3-bet here too. You probably have more fold equity by 3-betting, but being involved with the King of Wales is a great idea. It's a good thing to do. So you call, and the King of Wales calls, and you go to a flop 3-way where you just have an overcard and some backdoors. You check, and the King of Wales donk bets really small. And they do this all the time when they've got like a weakish hand to find out where they're at, right? Real King of Wales kind of stuff. And the reg raises like just 3x their bet. And you know that this reg is going to raise them with loads of stuff in this spot, and you have this backdoor and this overcard, and you're not expected to attack here. Great spot to attack. You have the 2 cap ranges. When you have like the fish that's clearly not that strong, and you have a reg that's clearly attacking that, this is an excellent opportunity for you to be wider. These opportunities exist pre-flop as well. Like that guy opens, the reg opens the cutoff, the whale calls the small blind, you squeeze the big blind wider, right? Or squeeze the straddle wider. There's so many spots like this. But remember that the aggro reg is a hunter. He understands that his EV comes from, yes, running you over when you've got second pair of 7s, but also from just isolating the worst players in the game and going out of his way to play hands that are speculative when those players are in the pot, because that's a big EV gain. And if you understand the spots where that player's range has ballooned in size to try to get involved with the recreational player more often, you're going to be able to generate more fold equity than normal, value bet more thinly than normal, just widen up your range in various ways to take advantage. All right, guys, I hope this video has been helpful. It's been a bit of a rant, but I just think so many of you poker students studying the game, going through our theory courses, getting better at poker, learning a few exploits, are actually getting subtly killed by the more savvy regs, the aggro regs in your game, and this will put a stop to it. Do not show them this video. Don't tell them that you watch Carrot Corner. Don't tell them about code EMBARK25 that saves hundreds of pounds or dollars on a poker education. Just apply this stuff subtly and don't flip your cards over when they muck. Just take the pot and do it again next time. All right, get out of here. Catch you later.